Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychic Eric here. Got a healthy dose of LPs for you today. I'm going to be showing kind of a nice stack here. Picked some stuff up yesterday. A lot of this stuff is stuff I picked up in person and some online stuff as well dispersed within. So nice mixed bag of things. So yeah, before we begin, you might notice decorated the wall a little bit on this side anyway. Had a few posters hanging up on that side, but it's kind of lacking near the turntable, so with the raw material and soft machine, and then I got moving sidewalks right there. Yeah, just kind of spicing up the joint a little bit. Got a couple other posters I'm gonna like hang up on this wall over here. Got like a Charles Bronson poster and a Beatles poster. Might hang them up. So found them over last weekend. So yeah, let's begin. So, this is one I actually forgot to show in my last video. I'm usually pretty good about showing, keeping up to date stuff I've shown. Just forgot to put this in the pile last time. This is Agitation on Electra. You almost want to say like Agitation on Electra. But this is a UK group. Folk pop, folk rock a little bit. Not too many rockin' moments on here, but a little bit of use of like chamber folk in here as well, some string arrangements, sunshine pop harmonies going on. Picked this one up. I paid out of pocket for this one at the local shop, which is totally fine, It's kind of weird, every time I'm in the shop I almost always have like trade for them, and this time I didn't, so it's like, I'll give you a little business this time around. But yeah, I've been wanting this a long time. This one kind of grew on me. I want to say, like, for the longest time I thought this was just kind of a standard, kind of run-of-the-mill folk pop thing. But if you think about it, this is before Fairport Convention came along, and I mean, just on the cusp of that. But bands like Trees, a lot of those like British folk rock acts, this was before that, and you can kind of hear those inklings of like those progressive elements moving through here. The songs aren't super memorable at first, but once you latch onto this and listen to it after a bit, it's actually pretty strong material. I think the first two tracks, In Her Mind and Nevertheless, could have been some great singles back in the day. But yeah, I just don't hear about this one a whole lot. But it's kind of interesting. It's on the Electra label. compared to a lot of like American groups, you just don't have a whole lot of English groups on the label, I feel like. So then this next one I picked up from the Record Shack on Instagram. Bought maybe I think 3 or 4 LPs over the years from him. And this one, I don't know why, just kind of stood out to me. I was kind of like, revisiting this album not too long ago, and I was like, I'll pick this up. Even though I'm not super big on the group, and I'll explain why. This is Agitation Free, their second album, Second. It's on the Vertigo label. This is a reissue, but a very well done, unofficial reissue. I don't think you can purchase this on Discogs, but it's actually really well done. Replication of the original Vertigo label, Swirl. Great sound quality. And I like the inner gatefold here with their almost like they're all wearing Converse shoes. It's kind of funny. And they just all look like they're hanging out in the inner gatefold. Just a cool image, But yeah, Agitation Free. They're kind of one of those krautrock bands that they're kind of hit or miss for me. I feel like their first album, Malesh, or however you pronounce it, I think they have like the right ingredients as far as like the sounds they're working with and like the textures and all that, but sometimes it kind of feels like they're just trying too hard. That's just a little opinion about how I feel about their first album, but this second one though, I don't know. I think this one's a little more structurally sound. There's definitely a little more structure to it, even though they've always been kind of a jammy group. This is still very space rock jammy oriented, but I feel like they make better use of the guitar interplay going on with the both lead and rhythm section. And it's mostly instrumental work. I think the last track has some vocals. And the last track, Haunted Island, it's actually a really good highlight off of here. It's kind of got some eerie, almost Tangerine Dream-like chord progressions with some mellotron. A lot of spatial structures working throughout the track. Layla Part 1 and 2, they kind of work together real well. The opening track kind of feels very dry in spots, but as far as like the jamming goes, I feel like they could have used a little more oomph in that stuff, But nonetheless, I think this is very accessible, and I think one of the better pieces, despite my minor flaws about it that I may have with it. But they do have a good fan base as far as the krautrock scene goes. But don't let me like persuade you away from it. It's actually still some essential listening considering the German space rock scene. Then I was kind of thinking to myself, what should I be listening to at work? Because I pretty much have my earbuds in all day, working and stuff, and I'm just thinking, what's a scene that could really just keep me occupied and absorb all this greatness, So I was kind of thinking, maybe I should look more into the Italian prog psych kind of bags. It's a certain scene that a lot of people just don't talk about a whole lot, but some of those records can be also hit or miss, depending on how structured things are and just the direction they're always moving in. So I decided to pick up on this. I was listening to like 5 or 6 different records, and this is the one that stood out best to me. This is Ramminghai. That's how you pronounce it. Ramminghai. Ramminghai. This is the name of the album here up top, which I will not pronounce. I forget what it translates to, but the name of the band is basically Rangers in English. And this is like an illustration of a famous painting. I don't know who offhand, but just looking at that cover, all the animals surrounding this, like, the animals just look really eerie and kind of intimidating maybe. And it's just all surrounded by this beautiful image, this woman in the back cover. It's just a very stark looking cover, Just kind of stands out as like, what are you going to get into here? And it is basically, like I said, Italian prog psych, but they got their own little twist to it. This band goes back like nearly a decade before, in '61. This came out in '72. It's on transparent vinyl. It's the only affordable one in the U.S. and no standard black version, unfortunately. And the originals you can pretty much forget about because they're like $1,000 or so when you find them. A few images of the band members. Got some liner notes here. I think it's both in French and English. Telling their story a little bit. And this is very, there's some moments of like maybe early Floyd moving about, but it's also very manic and very schizophrenic, like sounding prog, And what I mean by that is like it's just a lot of Hammond organ stuff going on, a lot of screeching, a lot of over-the-top dramaticness about it that kind of appeals to me. And I think a lot of Italian prog is like that. Once they all discovered ELP, they just figured, they could just go over the top themselves. And I do recommend this, man. This is very good. It's got some very nice lysergic sounding, acid guitar on here. Pretty heavy in spots. Some of the songs just kind of continuously run together. Some are long, some are very short, running time-wise, but yeah, still one to pick up. One to check out for sure. If you're into those kind of adventurous, progressive psych movements. This is one I found on eBay not too long ago. Found for a great deal. I just happened to be scrolling through and on the newly listed, and I found this bad boy. This is Bob Ray, Initiation of a Mystic. It's on the Soul City label. It's got a little bit of a chip right there on the bottom. Not really any ring wear, which is nice. You always see this one kind of trashed with ring wear. And the spine is so flat, it's basically leaning with the back sleeve, the back of the jacket. So yeah, this is LA-based session musician Bob Ray, who also played bass on Donovan's tracks Season of the Witch and Sunshine Superman. I think a few other tracks with Donovan. So he's got those connections going for him. He also was a member of, I always get it wrong. It's always, I want to say Tripsichord, but it's always the other one. It's Thorn Shield on Phillips. They both start and end with a T and a D. I always get those two mixed up. But yeah, Bob Ray, this is very, as you can imagine, Donovan inspired. And, very acoustic driven. It's got some chamber folkness about it as well. Some Baroque pop moments. One track could even fall for like a UK Kaleidoscope tune. I think it's the track Green Green Big Big River. Kind of reminds me of Peter Daltrey in the vocals a little bit. Yeah, I've been trying to track one down for a long time, and I spotted one in Colorado when I went on that trip. I may have captured it on video, I don't remember, but I remember it being very rough. And spotted this for 15 bucks, buy it now on eBay, and just couldn't pass that deal up. It seems to be getting pretty scarce, so very glad to own this, and this fits very nicely along with those Donovan LPs around the same era, late 60s. Okay, and then this is one I picked up last Friday at the record shop. I may have passed on this one in the past, but I just can't believe it's been in the shop this long, to be honest. I mean, just can't believe I overlooked this for so long, because I just totally forgot it was there, I'm usually always looking in like the new arrival section, because I figure, well, I kind of looked through everything in the A to Z racks, may as well just keep hanging out up front, because he's usually pretty good about showing me, psych titles coming in and whatnot, but somehow overlooked this, and I had enough trade where I just took this out of the shop one day. This is 8 Miles High by the Golden Earring. This is the first album by this band that I finally own. This came out in '69, and this is shortly after their Netterbeat scene where they had the album Miracle Mirror, which I'm still looking for a copy of that on the US Capitol pressing, preferably. It's always slipped by me, and even though this one falls out of that realm a little bit, kind of veering outside of that beat sound, this one's kind of more geared towards that hard rock, almost slightly progressive rock leanings on here. Water break. Oh, my throat was getting so dry. Sponsored by H2O. Anyways, yeah, so about Golden Earring. This is a Holland pressing on Polydor. I think in the US they came out on Atlantic, which I've never seen a copy of that floating around, but yeah, I don't know what I've been missing. I always liked this album. I had to revisit it because it's kind of been a while, but I do remember liking it quite a bit, and I need to pick up their next one too sometime down the road. I think it's a self-titled, but people call it like Wall of Dolls. So it's got a wall of dolls behind them. But yeah, man, if you are into those late 60s heavy psych hard rock coming out of the UK, you don't know what you're missing with this one. This is, this cuts the price into threes, man. This is, you can find this like under $50 all day probably. And sorry about that. Got a lot of dryness in here. So yeah, it was kind of nice to leave without, having to pay anything for this one, and very happy to acquire this finally. So yeah, just need to pick up Miracle Mirror. It's like the top one, but this is very much highly regarded, and they do a pretty substantial job with the Birds track, 8 Miles High. Of course it's got a drum solo in it, but it doesn't last too long. And it's got kind of a feedback guitar solo going on as well. Keeps you interested, and it's got some flute and a little bit of organ just for some good effects, some padding, if you will. So check that one out. No radar love on that bad boy. These are ones I picked up in Omaha yesterday. Yeah, what a bad time to go, because the temperature dropped to like, I think the high yesterday was like 70, so it was pretty cold yesterday. But I figured, it'd be a nice time to get out, and I didn't really plan on going record shopping, but I was there early enough in the day, but it was also kind of raining all night and all morning. I just figured, well, we'll find something to do, but I didn't get to do what I wanted to, which was like, walk around some different garden areas and parks and such, because I go on a lot of walks and stuff. But I didn't get any of that in, so it was kind of a wasted trip, really. But at least I picked up some things, and I'm here to share them. So, went to the antique mall in Omaha first. I picked this up. This is Lion. This came out in 1983. This is got some connections to Lion Hill, which is an Omaha country rock, kind of rural folk rockin' band. This is their second and last album. It goes for a little bit of money, $15 maybe. But I found this for $5, which was right in my range, so pretty happy with that. I've definitely spotted this a few other times around the city, so it turns up pretty often in Omaha. And then I went to the Imaginarium Canticle, or I forget what it's called. Not really based in records, but they do have a selection of used records, which is kind of cool. Oftentimes, they got a lot of beat up copies of stuff that I probably would like to have. I found like one Blue Note record that goes for a lot of money, but I didn't pick it up because it was so beat. So you kind of have to watch, conditions when you're looking around the shop, but decided to pick this up. I've never seen this before. This is Lady Luck by Ronnie Sanders and Vicky Barbour. This is like a Kansas City LP. It came out in like 84. It seems to be going for a little bit of money online. Record's in pretty decent shape. Still gotta find a sleeve for it. Just needs cleaned up, but I think it's gonna play okay. I think it's like some kind of funky rhythmic soul or something. I'm not really sure. Maybe a lounge group, but yeah, cool to find that for like $5. And then this was for $1. I already have this record, but I'm gonna pass this one along. This is the split level for 99 cents. The record's much cleaner than the cover, so that's a plus. Vinyl's in very nice shape. I assume it plays pretty well. And this is a pretty cheap LP as it is. I mean, it goes for like between $10-20, but it's a very good cheapie. If you guys love, Baroque folk pop, a little bit of rocking moments on here. Some like one deep cut on here called looking at the rose through world-colored glasses, which is kind of like the deep cut on here. So pretty good, the split level. And that about wraps it up. So oh yeah, I forgot about this here. This little guy picked up yesterday at the Antique Mall as well. Pretty nice shape condition for a platter pack. Keeping all my 45s in here. It's got a little bit of wear on the back, but not too bad really. It's kind of wearing off a little bit in the front, but already got most of my goodies in there so far. Let's see what we got in here. Galaxies 4. Showed that one not too long ago. So yeah, probably my favorite color design as far as the swirl goes too. I'm not really huge on orange in general, but something about the orange swirliness kind of reminds me of you know, those old style carnival rides as a kid, or like the spinning tops. So yeah, that about wraps it up. So thanks again for watching, and yeah, my psychedelic trip, I was having such a heck of a time with that. Turns out all the copyright claimed songs weren't the problem. It was one that wasn't even copyrighted had an issue. I used that track, what is it, Girl on Fire by Graffiti, and apparently they didn't like that track because it kind of showed the timestamps. It was in between that song in the Creator Studio, which I was kind of editing things in. And I think the reason is maybe because they're going to be soon reissuing that record on Sundays, I believe. So maybe there's some copyright thing that's about to happen where I think they even deleted the one full album upload of that track on YouTube. So they just delete videos when they please, I guess. Anyways, with that said, that's the whole spiel about that. There's still more trips coming along, not stopping now. So that should about do it. So thanks again, guys, and we shall see you soon.